evolution. So we have understood that genetic drift, that is accumulation of small changes over a period of time, and also some sudden changes in the DNA, like sudden change in the numbering of the chromosomes or severe changes in the DNA. All these things result in the production of new species of any organism. Now let's study about the evolution. To evaluate these evolutionary relationships, we have to know the hierarchies of the characteristics. So whenever we talk of evolution and evolutionary relationships, it means we are talking something about the past or the backward things. So for example, in class 9th we have studied the diversity of living organisms. In that we have classified all the living organisms, plants, animals, etc. So there was some basis for the classification of these organisms, right? How was it decided that what were the basic characteristics, what were the fundamental characteristics, what was the identical characteristics, on which basis were the organisms classified? So we are always talking about the word characteristics. So what is actually characteristic? Characteristics is nothing but details in the appearance, in the behavior, in the form and function of the organism. So that is the meaning of characteristics. So let's see examples of few characteristics. See, human beings have 4 limbs, that is 2 legs and 2 hands. Same way other organisms also. Say for example frogs, say for example birds, they also have 4 limbs. So we can say that these things might have evolved from a common ancestor, right? All these things have 4 limbs, but the limbs are modified for different functions in different organisms. Same way in plants, plants do the photosynthetic activity. So this feature is common for all the plants, right? So this is one characteristic for the plant, photosynthetic activity. Then you know every organism is made up of cell, right? Every organism starts its life as a single cell, and then the cell has some characteristics. For example, cell will have nucleus in it, right? So there are 2 things, either cell will have nucleus or no nucleus. That means cell can be nucleated or denucleated. Nucleated cell means, again there will be question that if the cell has nucleus, whether the body of the organism is unicellular or multicellular. And then if the cell doesn't have nucleus, for example bacteria, all the bacteria do not have nucleus in their cell. So like this, cell is again one characteristic on which we can classify the organisms, whether the body is unicellular, whether the cell is multicellular, whether the organism is made up of multiple cells, all those things. Then one more feature can be skeleton, whether the skeleton of the organism is inside the body or outside the body. That is known as one characteristic. Then talking about human beings, brother and sister, definitely they have some common characteristics because they are evolved from their parents. And same way there will be related characteristics with their cousins also, because the cousin's parents and this brother and sister parents have brothers and sisters. And then grandparents, see, brother and sister will have some common characteristics, definitely similar, they look similar, they have some common characteristics because they have a common parent. Then you and your first cousin may have some similarities because your parents are brothers and sisters. Same way your parents and your cousin's parents will have some similar characteristics because they have evolved from a common parents, that is your grandparents. So all these characters tell us there is some type of hierarchy. All these things tell us that there is some type of hierarchy, there is some common characteristic in everything which defines the basis of classification, right? So that is evolutionary relationship. Then let's move on. So these are the basics for the classification of all the species. Now let's move on to the tracing these evolutionary relationships. So how will we know that these organisms have a common ancestor? Evolution means we are talking about the backward time of the past. For example, let's see, what are the common characteristics few organisms have? They have 4 limbs. Mammals, that means organisms which directly give birth to the young ones. Human beings, elephants, etc. Then birds, reptiles, amphibians, that is frog, birds. So amphibians means frog. Birds, you know, reptiles, you know, right? Crocodiles, etc. So all these things have 4 limbs, 2 hands and 2 legs. All of them look similar. The bones of the hands, the bones of the legs are similar. But the function is different. They are modified So all these organisms are vertebrates. They have a vertebral column and all of them have hands and legs. So all of these are similar. Hands and legs are similar, but similar in appearance, but they are little bit modified for their function. That is what you need to understand. That is why this character is known as homologous character. That means homo means similar. So all these organisms are vertebrates and they have 4 limbs, but these limbs are modified for different functions, right? So all these limbs look similar. That is why they are known as homologous characters. Now let's talk about wings. Birds have wings and bats also have wings, but they do not look similar. The wings of the birds are folded, right? The wings of the bats are very much folded and very much wide, whereas wings of the birds are feathered. So function is same, but they do not look similar. Only the function of wings is same, but in look wise they are not similar. That is why they are known as analogous characteristics. That means different. Homo means similar, analogous means different. So this is how we can trace the evolutionary relationships. So now we can say that these 4 organisms might have evolved from a common ancestor. And then birds and bats have wings, but their function is different. So they have analogous characteristics. Same like say squirrel and lizard. We can say that they have evolved from a common characteristic. So that is how evolution have arisen.